Hey everybody, welcome to Do You Believe on Paranormal Zone TV. I want to thank you all so much for joining us tonight. For those who may be new to the show, if you want to hit a like, that would be awesome. And please subscribe to this channel. This is my alternative channel. In June, we'll be back to my main channel, Paranormal Zone TV, Do You Believe web series. But if you would subscribe to this, because I do alternate with this channel. Anyway, tonight we have an awesome show. Our show tonight is on the missing Holly Ann Hughes. And our guest tonight is Fold Paranormal. And joining us with the show is Vanessa Hogle and Julia Siracusa. Hey girls, thanks for joining us. Hello. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Now, before we start, I want you to tell the viewers a little about yourselves and your group.
Julia. Okay, well, I grew up in Staten Island, New York, and I had a friend named Holly Ann Hughes, and one day she went missing, and I guess that's how this whole thing started, because I wanted answers on my friend that was missing. And I got in touch with Vanessa, and we just started researching the legend of Cropsey, and that's pretty much how we became a group on our first case working together. Now, Vanessa did work on my home, the Horsefly Chronicles. A lot of people might know me from there. I'm the owner of the Horsefly Chronicles, and she did a lot of remote viewing, and that's how I knew of her work. And we just clicked, and it just took off from there.
Yep, like birds in flight. I'm Vanessa Hogle. Hi. Done a lot of shows with Norene. Pretty much remote viewing, missing persons cases, the whole kit and caboodle. What would you call? I mean, even some urban myths, things like that. I'm an author. This is what I do. I talk to dead people, and they tell me things, which is grand. I have my own show, Edge of the Rabbit Hole, with my publisher, Mike Ricksecker. And like Julia said, I met her through the Horsefly Chronicles case, remote viewing for that, and all of its eccentricities and little weird things that happened there. And we became quite close, and when she contacted me to work with her on the Holly Ann Hughes case, I mean, it was a no-brainer. You know, we're both mothers, all three of us. Rachel Rodbell, who actually isn't on tonight, we're all three mothers, you know, and when you talk about a child who is missing and any type of injustice, you know, coming or stemming from that, we're gonna latch onto it, and that's kind of what happened, and how we got to this point today. So it's going to be an ongoing thing. We all have to get back up to that location again. It's not as easy for me. I live in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So I'm working on it, though. I'm working on it.
You know, before we start talking about the Holly Ann Hughes case, and actually it's part of the legend of Cropsey. So, you know what? Some of the people that are watching may not know about the legend of Cropsey. So, do you want to talk about how this all started?
Sure.
Yeah. You want me to do it?
Yeah.
Okay. I knew she was going to say that. The legend of Cropsey, the actual legend of Cropsey, is much, much older than this case. And essentially what it was the boogeyman tale. The same thing that parents have done all over the world when they wanted their kids to listen. Okay? You know, don't go out after dark. You know, watch out for strangers. Anything, you know, that they could say to scare their kids. How his original name actually was Frank Sean, and he legally changed it to Andre Rand. How he got attached to that was simply just through word of mouth. You know, when all of this started going down, when there ended up being disappearances, attacks on people, and just mishappenings and everything there in Staten Island, it makes a lot more sense for people to attach a face to a myth. And that is pretty much what happened. Ironically, that legend of Cropsey still goes on today, or at least as recent as 2 years ago when we were there in Staten Island. Now, the face to the name is imprisoned and is imprisoned until 2023 or
yeah,
no?
2023.
2023?
Yes.
So, I mean, he's been in prison a good long minute. We were just there in 2017, and people who had moved there as recently as 10 years ago at that time were still being told, don't go out at night, don't talk to strangers, Cropsey will get you. And I found that fascinating, because if the person you're supposed to fear is imprisoned, why are you still spreading that rumor? And it's like it was back then. It isn't the same now. We don't tell those same myths to scare our kids. And now we're very blunt and honest with our kids. We're like, look, dude down the street freaks me out. Don't go anywhere near him. You know, we're blunt. It's not like the 50s and the 60s and the 70s where you bubble wrapped it into a little boogeyman in order to frighten your kids. Now you're just honest. And so I did find it fascinating that is still going on, even though he's been incarcerated since, was it 1980?
Well, his first arrest was in 1969. His first arrest was in 1969.
Right.
Yes.
He
his
was.
First, and we're not saying again, okay? Again, we're going to go ahead and put this out there. We say it on every show. This is not in any way, shape, form, or fashion an attempt to exonerate Andre Rand. He needs to be imprisoned.
Yeah, he's not a good guy.
He's not a good guy. That having been said, being a bad guy and having a bad history and needing to be in prison does not mean he's guilty of this crime. And that is what we're trying to get out there, because if he isn't guilty of it and he's imprisoned for it, the person who is guilty of it, or the persons, plural, hint, they're still walking free. That's a problem.
Well, I think the thing, though, was they couldn't prove anything. I mean, there's 10 missing children that's connected to him, but he only got in prison for the one crime.
2 crimes.
Okay, what were the 2?
Jennifer Schweiger, who went missing, I believe it was in 1987.
Yes, and then Holly won.
Yeah, Holly Ann Hughes was in 81.
Right.
Let's give people a timetable here.
Yeah.
So there were plenty of disappearances before Jennifer. Okay, plenty. Different ages, different sexes, different, mental capacities. All before Jennifer Schweiger ended up disappearing. She was, I believe, disappearing, and don't quote me on this, but for around 7 weeks, a little bit less, a little bit longer, I'm not sure. She was found finally, and I think she went missing in June and was found in August, if I'm remembering correctly, or the first part of July, found in August. And she was actually found in a shallow grave in an area that had already been thoroughly searched at least twice.
Yeah.
At least twice. And conveniently located to what was believed to be one of Andre Rand's campsites on the Willow, I believe it was the Willowbrook grounds.
Yes.
Right near it.
Yeah. So you have all of these people missing beforehand that supposedly are connected to Andre Rand, including Holly Ann Hughes from 1981, 6 years prior. Jennifer's body is found in a shallow grave, obviously buried relatively quickly, in an area that had already been searched twice, that tied her loosely to him. Upon autopsy, they could not determine any type of sexual invasion or abuse. They could not determine cause of death. They just knew that this was Jennifer and she was deceased. Okay? One of the eyewitness accounts, which we all know exactly how valid those are, pretty much not, okay, said that they thought they saw her with Andre Rand before or shortly after she had stepped away from her home. He gets convicted of her abduction. Can't get convicted of her murder. Can't get convicted of rape because they don't have cause of death. They don't have any evidence of sexual abuse. As it's getting closer to him, I guess, being eligible for parole, they come with the charges against Holly Ann Hughes, who disappeared 6 years prior to Jennifer disappearing. The only thing they have is circumstantial evidence in the amount of eyewitness accounts. This was in 2004.
Yeah,
he went.
Yes.
So she went missing in 81.
Right. Yeah. Can you imagine?
They go to convict him or to charge him in 2004.
Right.
With only eyewitness accounts.
And all these eyewitnesses were, they weren't credible.
Well, they were not credible.
They didn't have they had nothing. There was they couldn't do anything because there was no evidence. No real evidence. No body, no nothing.
Nope, there was just hearsay. There was just witnesses that were not good witnesses.
That according to the police department, since they were no longer doing drugs and alcohol, they had recovered their memory.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's true. That's exactly what was said.
Wow.
Not verbatim, but pretty damn close. So that is 23 years after the fact that they were able to take eyewitness testimony of seeing him in the vicinity and possibly with Holly Ann, putting him in her car and convict him for it with not one shred of physical evidence. Not one.
Now, didn't he live in that area?
His aunt lived in the building, the same building that Holly lived in. So he had a small tie to her. So, it all fit.
Yeah. Well, somebody could get killed in my building. Does it mean I did it? I have a fairly significant temper. I am not one you want to piss off. I get mad, and I get mad with a vengeance. Doesn't mean I killed anybody. It's circumstantial evidence. What is that?
It's Rachel keeps on trying to get in, and I'm denying it because, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because it's not popping up on mine, so I can't see it.
I don't know who.
But yeah, so it's just kind of one of those things where it doesn't make any sense, and it's why go for just a circumstantial evidence. Now here's the kicker, and this is what, if people watch the documentary that we did, this is what people will understand. And Julia, jump in here at any moment, but I know how you are and you want me to tell it, okay? We saw the interview with one of the previous police officers, with one of the detectives. He's retired now. We saw that on a previous documentary. And we have our feelings about that, which we made very clear. But what we found most terrifying was the one person who was connected physically and familially connected to the case via the prosecution, asked to meet with us personally when we were in Staten Island. The only person who would give us an interview, but not on audio, not on video. And he told us that prosecution had placed specific people in Andre Rand's cell to try to get a confession.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Wow.
which doesn't make any sense.
Because
And
none was ever gotten, and even if it was, it would be inadmissible. Because he said they were handpicked and placed in there specifically for that. This is a family member connected to the case.
You can't get any more connection than he was to the case.
But he did admit to killing that the Schwartz girl.
No.
Yeah, I read he did.
No.
No kidding. I read that he did. He finally admitted to killing her.
Not in any documentation we can find anywhere. There's never been a confession.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's like what, total of like 10 kids? Is it because it was because these kids all may have disappeared in the same vicinity in Willowbrook?
No.
So why is he connected to these like 10 other missing children in Staten Island?
Have you looked at pictures of him?
Yeah.
He's the creepy guy.
Oh yeah, I know, but the kids, I mean, I know supposedly all the kids that went missing were young, and 7, 8, and I think there was a teenager as well. They were all mentally handicapped. That
Holly wasn't.
do you know that for sure, that she wasn't, and the family just doesn't admit to it? Because it seemed like all the kids had a mental disability of some kind.
No, they did not. Not all of them. And that's the thing is, people not only verbally tied him to those cases, they tied him to adult female rape cases. They tied him to necrophilia cases. And that was the one thing that really stood out to us is I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. However, it would almost be like winning the lottery for somebody that the chances are that small to be a homosexual, heterosexual, necrophiliac pedophile.
When they sentenced him to jail, wasn't he labeled as a sex offender and a pedophile?
Well, yeah, because they had to do something.
I guess so. Oh.
But there was the only body that ever turned up is Jennifer's. There was no evidence of sexual assault. No cause of death could be determined. No other bodies have ever been found. But
there was no evidence.
Yeah.
There was no evidence that he was even there at all. Tied to her.
But the same person who was tied to that case by family that asked to speak with us told us that if we went to a specific location, that he could almost guarantee, we would find the bodies.
Yeah.
And we said, really? And he said, yeah. And it was pretty far out. It was some water tower, wasn't it, Julia?
Yeah, and, it was not near where we were.
Nowhere near. It would have been remote, okay? And we asked him, we said, well, did the police check there? Or did the police investigate? And he goes, oh, I'm sure they did. Keep in mind, it's 36 years ago at this time. And then we asked him, well, if the police investigated there and searched 36 years ago, why are you telling us if we went there today, we would find them? And he had no answer.
Can I ask you a question? Do you remember the guy I turned you on to that I had received an email message from? Did you ever contact him? His friend was a retired cop, wasn't he?
I sent out an email, but I never received anything back.
Oh, okay.
It is amazing who won't talk to you about this case.
Yeah, why? Why do you think that's going on?
Because I mean, we personally believe that the people that were involved in this, that it never fully stopped, they just got better, and that they might be kind of important.
Yeah, and they found a scapegoat.
Yeah.
who had a bad history.
People acted like the disappearances just stopped when he went away. Really? Has anybody looked at the disappearances of children underneath a certain age in the 5 boroughs?
All right, so did you...
It's mind-boggling.
Okay, so since he's been in jail and he can't get out till 2023, he was incarcerated, I can't remember what year it was. Was it what, 1989? 89?
88, I think.
88, okay.
Yeah.
And, okay, so the disappearances that they have him connected to, I just want to ask one more time. Are they in that Willowbrook? Did he stay? So they were outside of Willowbrook as well.
They were in Port Richmond.
How far is Port Richmond from? Oh, here, let me show them a picture of Port Richmond because you guys did an investigation over there.
Yeah.
All right, so how far is Port Richmond?
Is just a town.
Yeah, it's just a little town. That's where I was raised and born, and yeah, when Holly Ann was, not that far from me.
Okay, so how far is Port Richmond from Willowbrook?
I would say it's about 20 minutes. 20 minutes, I would say. Yeah.
So in order to get... Really?
Yes.
Okay, and then how far... So you lived in this vicinity of Port Richmond, and there was... I guess they were living in an apartment house over there?
Living in an apartment, yes. Holly was living in an apartment house with her mother and her brother.
So he would have to... But okay, and then again, he was supposedly living like around the corner or within that area as well.
I don't think he was living in the same apartment building.
No.
He was there a lot because his aunt lived there. So he was a drifter. So, he really did not have a certain place where he lived. He would just, go wherever he could. And that's how they tied Jennifer to him, because his campsite apparently was right next to where her body was. I say reburied because that's what it was. It was reburied. Her body was reburied right there, purposely.
So you think he was stalking the kids? Do you think he was stalking them at the schoolyard? I know you had mentioned that in your documentary, that children were being watched.
Yeah, it could have been him. He could have been a part of it, but there was definitely a lot more people involved in this. I'm sure he was there, but did he, do it? There's just no evidence. But yes, we had the playground, PX20, where I met Holly Ann Hughes when I was about 5 years old, and right across the street there was a park where basically the homeless people hung out, and they still do now. It's even worse now than it was then.
Yeah.
So much worse. And they would just sit there and watch us.
You couldn't throw a stone when we were there and not hit somebody that really shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
It made me uncomfortable.
How they could allow people to just hang out there and do, what they were doing there right across from a schoolyard, an elementary school, is beyond me. It's just disgusting.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they sleep on the grass, they sleep on the park benches, they sleep up against trees, they face the schoolyard, they're watching.
Here's the schoolyard and here's the park, right like this.
There's only a fence separating it.
All right, Julia, from the kids, so you went to school. You gave me a picture of.
Yes, that's me and Holly Ann.
Yeah,
in our school play.
Oh, that was a play. Yeah, it's. How did you get that picture?
My mom must have taken it.
Oh, she must have been sitting in the audience.
Yeah, and I'll never forget that. I was so excited because, I had my dress on, and, I just remember her as my friend. I was young, too. I was only 7 when she disappeared. So,
all right,
remember her. She was a very sad but sweet little girl.
Poor, she was so damn adorable.
Very sad. she had, I don't know what, I guess I don't know what was going on at home. But I do remember overhearing my mom, occasionally talking about her.
Was she the only one from your school that disappeared?
Yes, that I know of, yes.
That's interesting. The only one.
My mother was actually the PTA president a few years in that school, which I don't think I ever mentioned. I think that was after this whole thing happened, though.
Vanessa, with your remote viewing, what are you picking up from all of this?
We pretty much, with remote viewing and with different things that were happening here in my home, and in Rachel's home, and in Julia's home, that we believe was direct contact from Holly, we pretty much knew where she was before I even got there.
Now, Julia, you had mentioned before that she was coming to you in your dreams?
Yes.
Okay, do you think this is how it all started, isn't it?
Well, it all started because one day me and my husband Phil and one of my friends were sitting in my living room, and the original documentary came on, and I was just like, I remember this little girl. It just started everything. I wouldn't say I forgot about it, but I kind of did. I mean, I was like 42 years old when I seen this, and everything just started rushing back like a ton of bricks. I called my mother. I'm like, I remember her. We were friends, and my mother told me the story, and I never forgot. But I guess, life happens, and when I saw that documentary, I just started researching on my own by myself, and everything was just weird. Nothing made any sense to me, and that's when I reached out to Vanessa. I wanted to go down there myself, but there was there's no way I can go down there by myself.
Oh yeah.
It's a very dangerous area. It's not.
It's a weird area.
Oh, let's just go down. Anyone could just go and investigate. No, we went through a lot to get in there, and actually, if it wasn't for Rachel, we probably wouldn't even gotten in.
Exactly.
She had someone help us get in because there's a fence there and. Willowbrook State
School. Yeah, let me show them some pictures that you sent me. I'm surprised that building is still standing, but it's a mess inside. I mean, it's all falling apart.
That's really the ironic thing, though. Let's touch on base real quick with that, Julia. That's the ironic thing, is that part of the campus was turned into a school. Mm-hmm. The other part of the campus is debilitated. Now, here's the thing: it's our understanding, and if anyone has any different information, please share. But if there is any chance of there being dead bodies that are in connection with a crime, you can't build on top of it. Yet they did.
Oh.
And that's what we're finding very fascinating, is they turned it into a school. What is supposed to be, according to everybody else that you talk to around there, supposedly a crime scene. Because they just know that these kids' bodies are buried out there.
So wait a minute. So this building, okay, I'm showing the old part. Okay, here's the original building, but it's before it started crumbling down. That original, the one that you sent me, the picture, it's a dark brown image with 3 doorways. Is that the part they turned into the school?
No. Those were that's what was left of it. Like they turned the buildings that were more intact, the buildings that they could, rebuild and make nicer, and then they left the other ones that were just really
So
really bad.
how far are these falling down buildings compare from the new building that they're using, or the refurbished building?
Not far.
So those kids that are going to school there can see these abandoned buildings.
To a certain degree, there's a lot of overgrowth.
Oh, okay.
But in those areas, they had ribbons. Like when you mark a tree that you know you're going to be clearing that area out.
Like a crime
scene. They had so much stuff in there marked, indicating that they plan on developing on that area.
Oh boy. That
Yeah,
sounds.
there was tags on the trees, like the yellow tags on the trees.
Oh wow! Can you imagine? It'll be like Danvers State Hospital. That building that they turned that part of that into condos, and that place is extremely haunted. Same thing will happen here. Why would they do such a thing? Okay, I want to ask you. I know I saw your documentary. Everybody heard their documentary is on YouTube. It's called Fresh Kills in Search of Holly Ann Hughes, and it's about the investigation of Cropsey, the monster of Staten Island. And now I did a couple of clips. They allowed me to do a couple of clips from their documentary, and I want Vanessa to talk about this. And I did clip about 55 seconds of Vanessa, excuse me, walking up to Willowbrook, up the hill, and she is really, the energy that you were.
It was bad.
Excuse me, it was really bad. Let me play this for them, and this will give you an idea how bad it was.
Can we hear it so I
No.
can see which one it is?
You won't be able to, because if you do,
Okay.
it'll be an echo. Sorry.
Okay.
But this is oh, hold on for a minute. Oh gosh. What happened? That's weird. Hold on for a minute. Okay, this one I have actually this all right, here, this is the one. Hold on. I got to fix this for a minute. I got to do this. Hold on. I got to fix this so I can play it. All right, so this is Vanessa walking up the hill to Willowbrook, and you'll hear the, what can I say? It was really hard. It was really hard for her, all the emotions that she was capturing. So let me play this for you.
I wish you were here. I wish you could feel this. This is unbelievable. Oh my God. Oh my God. There is so much.
Okay, so I just played that for him. The emotions, what did it feel like?
Horrible. Absolutely horrible. But it is important that people understand what we were feeling had nothing to do with Andre Rand or the Cropsey case. You cannot walk onto those lands and not feel anguish, despair, hunger, fear, just complete desolation, loneliness, crying, screaming, filth. You can smell it. It's unreal. And it overtakes you. And it did all of us. It did all of us. You know, it's just something that was almost too much to take. And then after that, there is an episode, a part of that clip that I don't know if you have that, Norene. You have the whole clip. I don't know if you have this other portion segmented. But it was right after, because we're filming, and it was right after I said, this is where the legend of Cropsey was given some weight.
That was.
You have that clip.
I had that in that clip that I just showed.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm looking in the chat right now to see if anybody heard that. But since you've already played it, I'm going to go ahead and tell them that is the strongest, clearest EVP I've ever heard in my life. and it was a little girl singing Cropsey.
Oh,
like
God. I don't know if that was on that clip, but I remember you saying that. Now, I didn't, they may have heard it playing it because something happened anyway. I had that clip taken out, but you know what?
And so I can post it. I can post it later.
Yeah.
Repost it, the whole thing. That way the viewers can listen to the whole thing. I mean, I think it's 16 minutes, right?
It's 16 minutes and 23 seconds, and that particular EVP is around 3.5 to 4 minutes in.
Yes, I remember hearing that.
Yes.
I remember hearing that.
It was, and we didn't hear it.
Until
we
you...
didn't hear it.
Yeah.
Me and Julia were laying on the bed that night in the hotel room going over pictures and videos and everything else, and we're just laying there and, looking and playing that video, and we hear that. We both just look at each other like, did you fucking just hear that? And we stopped it, rewound it, listened to it again. We listened to that 6 or 7 times that night?
I was just going to say, we listened to it 100 times.
Yeah.
Over and over.
Because there's no way to deny it. There's no explanation for it. None of it makes any sense. It wasn't any of us. It sounds as if it sounds like it is on a frequency. You know what I mean? That is not for us.
Well,
but it was definitely there.
Any viewers that are watching, go over to, and actually I have the, underneath the video, I have a link to their documentary that they put together. So go over there after the show and listen to it. There's some other clips. I didn't get all of them. And it's pretty good, There's some good stuff that they captured. So go over there after the show and watch it. And it's under Fold Paranormal on YouTube.
Paranormal. And we do apologize. We had so much footage, that we couldn't even use because the original configuration was wrong.
Yeah.
So the next time that we go back, we'll be taking Gwen Clapper with us, and she's real damn good, And so we know that we will have the proper video taken, so that we can get everything on there that needs to be on there. It was tough. It's not a position anyone wants to be in. I mean, we were basically threatened.
Oh, yeah.
While we were there.
Wait a minute. What do you mean threatened?
You were followed.
What do you mean?
We haven't been able to get Rachel Rodbell on here. And I know I'm having some connectivity issues as well because I'm showing up real slow in the video on my end. But Rachel and her fiance, George, he was there just kind of watching and making sure that we were okay when we were going to different locations. And we were out in Jersey at the cemetery trying to contact Jennifer Schweiger, and George. It was either coming there or leaving. Was followed by 2 large, what appeared to be government-issued SUVs, fully tinted windows. He had to go through 4 separate neighborhoods just to lose them.
And they knew you were trying to find out information about Holly Ann Hughes.
Oh yeah, we were so open about it.
Yeah, we were very public about it.
We were very public about it. We did that on purpose. We did that on purpose because we actually thought, naive as we are, that somebody might want to help.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
And it was the exact opposite.
Yeah.
What happened? Now, on your video, you were walking toward Port Richmond, and you said, hold on for a minute. I want to go talk to that lady that was at the end of the corner. You said, I'm not going to film it, but I want to talk to her. What happened?
I went in and I spoke with her privately, and I asked her very, very bluntly. I said, do you believe the correct person is imprisoned for the disappearance of these children. And she looked me in the face knowing I didn't have, because I'm not going to lie to her. I didn't have audio going. I didn't have video going. But she looked me square in the face and she goes, "No, ma'am, I do not."
Did she say why she felt that way?
No.
Did you ask her if she had any evidence that it wasn't Andre Rand?
I asked her, what made her lean that way. And basically what she told me in not so many words was that if the person is imprisoned, why is it still going on?
Yeah.
Okay, so after he went in prison, do you know how many... the thing is, you wouldn't know because children go missing every day. But I'm just thinking in that vicinity, in the Willowbrook and the Port Richmond area. That's where I would focus on if it was the same serial killer.
You would think so, but let's put some smarts behind it. Okay? All of us might think that way, but if you have just convicted your scapegoat and you want to make sure that conviction sticks,
Oh, got
are
you.
you going to hunt in the same forest? No. You're going to go outside that jurisdiction because they won't be connected.
But don't forget, they also have copycat killers that will do the same thing.
Yeah, but with what's going on there, with what we believe is going on there, that would be way too coincidental.
And there's quite a few kids, but they haven't found any bodies except for Jennifer.
Exactly. And that was conveniently located in a place, like we said, searched twice.
So why do you think, Vanessa, they wanted that body discovered?
Because somebody had to be convicted.
Yeah. They had to convict someone.
Oh, that
Don't
makes
forget,
that makes
when
sense.
these kind of things happen, they have to convict someone.
Yeah.
Someone has got to pay the price for these murders.
Okay, but
Exactly.
the thing is, he was arrested for being a pedophile. Now, he was only convicted of one murder. So how can they put that?
He was convicted of kidnapping.
Yeah, but his title was sex offender pedophile. How did they know he was a pedophile? How did they know that?
He had a conviction years before, I believe, of exposing himself to a 9-year-old girl.
I think that was in '69.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Yeah, it was in the South Bronx.
Yeah, well before these cases.
That's right.
Well before these cases.
You're right. He was attempted rape, and he pleaded guilty to a lesser charge of sexual abuse.
Absolutely.
Like you said, he's not a good guy.
No.
He's not a good person at all, and he belongs where he is right now.
Exactly.
And I'm glad he's there. And so is Vanessa, so is Rachel. We are glad he is where he is.
Do you think that in 2023 they will release him?
I actually think I'm wrong on that date. I think it might be 2036.
No, I read 2023.
Is it 2023?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
I think he's going to die.
I think he might mysteriously die before then.
Oh.
Yeah. That's what I feel like.
Yeah.
Well, that wouldn't be too bad.
That would be good. I mean, good and bad. I mean, it'd be bad because, we would like to talk to him.
Do you think that he would talk to you?
He won't talk to anyone.
I think Rachel was going to try. She was going to try to reach out. I know that people have tried in the past and have not been successful, but if anybody can do it, Rachel can do it. I don't doubt that at all. But I don't see him getting out. And I don't think he should.
No.
We don't think he's a good person, but it's hard to explain to people that, for somebody to be convicted so
Easily?
and easily with no evidence, none save eyewitness eyewitness accounts, nice big air quote on that, that's almost unheard of.
Mm-mm.
There's a reasoning behind before, but there was a previous documentary done by somebody else where a retired detective was interviewed. And just to sum it up, just to give a little snippet here, in that interview, this particular detective was asked, because one of the theories is satanic worship.
Oh, yeah.
There on the grounds of Willowbrook. This particular detective was asked this question: do you believe that there are satanic practitioners on Staten Island? Something along those lines.
Yeah.
And his answer was, I'm sure there are. He was asked, do you believe that any of those practices happened on Willowbrook? His answer was, I'm sure they have. He was asked, do you believe any children could have been involved in those practices? He looked square into the camera and says, I'm not going to answer that.
Yeah. And you can find these clips in our group because we haven't posted. In fact, I will reshare it. That way it's really noticeable. But it's in our group, Fold Paranormal.
I'm showing that image of you standing. There. I'm showing the image of you, the three of you, standing in a circle with a star. That has to do with a cult, doesn't it? Or witches?
Oh, yeah, that was crazy.
Actually, let's make sure people understand. A pentagram is not an evil symbol. I am a candle burning, card toting witch. You know, as is Julia, as is Rachel. We are all three practitioners. What was ironic about that was we are all three standing there discussing this, you know, what is going on and how we're feeling and where we need to go with this. None of us realizing all three of us are standing on a pentagram.
Yeah.
It was ironic.
It was crazy.
You know, it was almost like, okay, all right, you're on the right track. We got this, you know? And that was before we ever made it to Fresh Kills, which is a dump.
Oh, we gotta get to that.
Yeah, and is now a park, and that is actually where we believe Holly Ann Hughes' remains to be.
Yep.
You know, I have a clip of you with the, hold on, let me fix this, with the K2 meter.
Talking to Holly.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
All right, hold on, let me pull that out.
Okay.
All right, this is a little clip of Vanessa communicating with Holly using the K2 meter. So I'm going to show this to you. It's a short clip, about 55 seconds.
Can you give me an orange or a red? Come on now. Holly, show everybody where you are. There we go, sweetheart. Thank you.
Okay, there we go. That was when all the lights lit up. Now, how did you you found her through your communication? Was it with the K2 meter that you found her?
That's a loaded question. Holly is real good at giving hints. She's real good at giving hints the way a child would give hints. You know, she gave hints to Julia, she gave hints to Rachel, she gave hints to me, and one of the hints that she gave was here in my apartment in Oklahoma. In Oklahoma, of all places. So I was being woken up in the middle of the night with what sounded like a milk jug, 3/4 of the way full of pennies, and like somebody was picking it up and slamming it down. Just that very distinct sound. And it wasn't till I told Julia what I thought that was, and she put the connection in it, didn't you, Julia? About it being trash trucks.
Oh.
Fresh Killed was a dump.
Oh, absolutely.
And it was weird. And it made sense. And did you send her the picture that we got, Julia, of the area that you saw and Phil saw Holly with the pole in the background? Do you remember?
Yes. Oh, I don't know know if I did.
So many people. It's
You-
on our page.
Yes, I'll repost that too on the
Repost
page.
that.
Oh, you couldn't send it to me now, could you? I guess because you're using your computer,
She's
huh?
using her phone.
Yeah.
So many people would probably get on there and say that this was matrixine or pareidolia. In most cases, pareidolia, if you can see the image clearly without having to zoom in, if you zoom in, it distorts it completely out. This stayed perfect, absolutely perfect, and it is a face without a shadow of a doubt staring directly at us.
Okay, now you sent me a picture of a tree with a red circle around it. Is that it?
Is that one it? No. If that was it, is that the tree that kind of branches out, kind of weird?
It's a trail, a dirt trail with a tree, a full
I don't think
tree.
I sent you that pic.
Huh?
I don't think I did. I don't think I sent you the picture.
Yeah, and it has a red
It's like-
circle underneath the bark, the trunk of the tree.
I think that's because I drew that tree before I ever got to Willowbrook.
Yeah.
It's a picture. I mean, it's
Yeah, but no, we were. I think that is the one from where we were going through my sketchbook.
no, it's not a sketch.
Huh.
God, if I'm not seeing it, I can't be for certain. But I know what I think I know what you're talking about, and it wasn't a tree straight up and down.
It was a full tree over the dirt pathway, and you have a circle around the stump of the tree. There's a red circle.
Yeah. Do you have it so you can show me so I can tell people?
You'd
I don't
have to.
see it.
You'd have to look. I'm showing. Oh, here. I'm showing it now. You'd have to.
Yeah, I'm watching it on my phone so I can see.
Okay. What is that?
It's not showing up on mine yet. It's on my phone yet.
It's-
It's going to take just a second.
Yeah.
Because it's live. But yeah, there was one instance where with my sketchbook, I had drawn out certain things, and we ended up seeing some of those things when we were on the Willowbrook grounds, which I would have no way of knowing what any of that looked like. I'd never been. No, I did not. I did not send that. I don't. That's just I think where somebody else thought that they saw something.
It was either from you or from your video.
Did I send it?
You
Hold
might
on.
have, Julia.
I-
When we put these pictures out and the videos out, especially the videos, people went through them meticulously to see what they could find.
All right, Royce Hinman, my mod, he's gifted. He said, "Is this the photo of the man watching from his car by the road, is over by a tree?
I don't know what that
From his car by the road, it's over by the tree." I think it's one of the photos of the men watching them on the grounds. Is there a man there watching you on the grounds over there?
There was one time when me, Rachel, and Julia were going to go in to one of the buildings, and I was being drawn into what could only be assumed as the tunnels underneath, and the girls had to pull me out. So, because I mean, that was just something where I knew I had to go down there, and I would have went down there. Dumbass me, I would have done it. Luckily, they didn't let me do that.
There was another picture that Julia sent me, and it's all these bushes.
That might be the one I'm talking about.
Here, I'll post it and let me know what this is. There's all these bushes, and then trees in the background with a little bit of light coming through the sky.
That might be. Do you see a white pole?
No,
In the background?
no, I just see bushes.
Okay.
It was
Okay.
the bushes are
That-
right up front.
That was in the park, right, Vanessa?
I'm waiting to see it, but I think that's the one I'm talking about.
All right, let me
That's-
go. Hold on. Let me go through these pictures that Yeah, Julia sent me that. It was June. It was from. Oh, it doesn't say. But that was one of the pictures.
All those pictures were from the investigation.
Yeah. That's not the one that I'm
All right,
talking
are you talking about the one? Hold on for a minute. Let me get us back. Okay, so are you talking about the one that Julia has? I thought I put it's trees and then there's a dark figure in the back.
The face?
Oh yeah, there's a face. At first I thought it was Bigfoot.
Yeah.
You can't deny it. There is a face right in that picture.
All right, let me see
it's
if
not
it's
major scene. It's not pareidolia. It's a face.
All right, hold on. Let me see if it's in here.
We're not saying that's Holly Ann's face. Keep in mind, plenty of body made their way to Fresh Kids. Plenty of body made their way.
That was the Staten Island dump.
All right.
Yeah.
Don't think what Staten Island was in the beginning. The Verrazano Bridge wasn't built until like 1960 something, 68, 69. I think it was in the 60s, the late 60s. So before that, they would take the boat and just dump all their bodies in there. That's what Staten Island was. It was a dumping ground for the mob.
Oh yeah, I heard.
Yeah,
Yes,
you can feel it.
I know about that with Staten Island. Yeah.
Yeah, you can feel. It's weird, as we've talked about it on other shows. It's, you have the ones that we were there looking for. Then you have your good fellas that are dead, and then you have your squealers that are like, shh. It's very, 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 very bizarre.
Yeah.
When we were on South Beach doing that interview with the dude that was trying to scare us, it was like you stepped back into the 1980s. It was a complete time warp. Time warp. I've never experienced anything like it. It was so bizarre.
Okay, I'm getting that picture up. Hold on.
Yeah, and you're constantly surrounded by dead folk on Staten Island. Don't think for a minute they're not around. They are everywhere.
And they don't want to talk.
No. Because most of them got killed for talking.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, hold on. I'm getting this.
I'm still waiting. I'm going to look at it and see if I can find it. I feel bad we couldn't get Rachel on.
I know.
I know. Right. My connection's not the best. I'm choppy on my end.
All right, I'm going to show this right now. All right. I have the single picture up on the side, and then I reproduced it, and I enlarged it next to it. And I clearly see a face.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no denying it. And people can try, but they weren't there, and it don't hurt my feelings. You can say that it's not. I don't care. I know what I'm talking about.
I don't care. I mean, we wouldn't put anything up there if we thought otherwise, and we try to go to debunk everything that.
Yeah. You can't miss it. You can see his eyes, his nose, his hairline. What we're assuming is a he. It could be just more skeletal. Mouth, the area right here with the cheeks. You can see it. It's there.
Oh yeah, I can see it. It's a face.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And this was on the grounds.
Oh yeah, on Fresh Kills.
Okay. Wow. Well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really. It's weird that they turned it into a fucking park.
Yeah, they turned it into a park.
But it also makes sense. If you didn't want people finding remains, what would you do?
Yeah.
Cover it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was showing the other pictures, Royce said that when he was looking at those photos, he said you can see the handicapped kids in the windows and nurses and others. Also, negative spirits as well.
Yeah, oh yeah. The offices, oh my stars. The offices, we went into an area that would have been like where the office staff or, doctors would have had their offices or something. The negative energy in that building was shocking.
Really?
Yeah.
It was victims in sadness in the other buildings. But in that buildings, in one particular area, remember, Julia, it was evil.
Yeah.
And it felt like somebody who was responsible for these patients, but was a bad person.
Yeah.
But an affluent bad person.
Feared person.
Yes. Yes. It was just not good. Matter of fact, I think we stayed less time in there than we did anywhere else, simply from the vibe of it. It was just that bad.
Yeah.
You know, when you spent time over there, were you able to get any more information at all about Holly Ann Hughes? Is there any relatives still alive that you found out about, that you were able to talk to?
Yeah, I mean, her brother is a couple years older than her, and he's in our group. He did accept the request to join, but he doesn't want to talk to me. You have to understand, it's probably really, really hard for the family to out of nowhere dredge up all these emotions again. So I can't say I blame him one bit. I was taking a chance. I messaged him in the beginning of our research and investigation, and we started digging into this. I told him who I was, what I wanted to do, and he didn't respond. But I have a friend who knows him well, and she told him about us, and he did join our group. So he's in there watching.
Well, and that's just it. I think it's a very important point to bring up that although the family, the surviving members might not be talking with us, they're not going against us either.
No, they're not going against us. That's a good point, Vanessa. That I never looked at it like that. They're not going against us, and they're watching us.
Yes.
And Holly Ann also has another brother that's a detective.
And, so if somebody we've had this, people have known that we've been doing this for 2.5 years, because we started publicizing this 6 months before we even went there. And not one time has it been a family member threaten us, contact us and ask us to stop.
Never.
Not once.
Never.
However,
they won't talk.
They won't talk, but every time, almost like clockwork, and Rachel's the best at spotting this shit. Every time we put something out there, the documentary or a post about it or something like that, all of a sudden there's new news clips. It was 2 weeks after we got back from Staten Island. I'm already back in Oklahoma.
I was pissed.
Oh yeah, 2 weeks after the 36th anniversary of the disappearance of Holly Ann Hughes, the Staten Island Advocate,
Staten Island Advocate posted an article
talking about the 36th anniversary.
Yeah.
2 weeks fucking too late. And all they did was regurgitate the same shit.
They wanted to refresh everyone's memory.
Yeah. Of who was responsible.
The first time. They did it again.
Yeah.
The story of the mother sending her to the corner store, to the local store, to go get a bar of soap. Is that what really happened?
That's speculative, because it's changed quite a few times.
And she was in her bathing suit to go to the store?
That story recently changed, didn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, what did it change to?
That Holly Ann's mother is saying that she never sent her daughter to the store at 9:30 at night. I don't know if I believe that. I'm going to be honest. I believe that she did send her daughter to the store at 9:30 at night. That's just my belief. Yeah, I'm wrong.
What do you pick up about the relationship between Holly and the mother?
Well, I know a lot. I think that the mom did the best that she could for herself. I don't judge anybody. I think the mom had some issues. and didn't do what she should have been doing as a mother. But what are you gonna say? What are you gonna do? It's a real hard thing for me to talk about, because I would, like I said, my mother was PTA president. I mean, there's people in that school that knew this little girl was being abused, did not have a good home life, and I have to say, and didn't do anything about it.
So
that's the fascinating part, is everybody after the fact talked about how they were afraid of Andre Rand and how horrible he was, and we're not disputing the fact that he's not a good person. But they're all after the fact saying, oh yeah, we knew he was bad. We knew it. Really? Why was nothing ever done?
Yeah.
Why was nothing ever done? And there wasn't. Nothing was ever done, and that is, I think, what we find the most fascinating. And what we don't want to do is speculate or point fingers without evidence. We're doing our best to get evidence, but it's at every turn got the clamp on us. When we were there, at every turn we had the clamp on us. I mean, I've told this before. Julia knows this. She was there. I had an interview set up. Somebody who could not wait to talk to us. I had spent 2 days prepping him every morning outside having a cigarette. Third morning, I'm out there and I'm having my cigarette. He comes out and he's got somebody with him. Okay. Sitting there and I'm talking to them both, and we set up the interview for 11 o'clock that morning. They're supposed to be there another day or two, so there's no issue. We're there at least another night. And so it gives me his phone number, his cell phone number, and finish our cigarettes. We go, I don't know, we have breakfast, we do something. And I go to call him at 11 o'clock. No answer. I call him at 11:10. No answer. Ironically, he is just down the hallway from us, 2 doors down. I go and knock on the door. I can hear them in the room.
Really?
No answer. I already knew what was going on. I'm like, I fuck it, can't do nothing. Go back to the room. We're all getting ready. We're going to go do something, another location or whatever. When we're downstairs, when we finally go downstairs about an hour later, him and the woman he was with are at the area where you check in and check out. Yeah. Checking out of the hotel a day or two early, and they won't even look at me. They walk past me like this.
What was that all about? Why?
All I can say is, from what I understand, the person who was with him either used to or currently worked for the district attorney in New York.
And so he couldn't talk to you if he no longer worked for them?
No. I'm saying the person with him.
Oh.
And it is our assumption that she warned him, do not get involved in this case.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh,
yep.
Man. So what are you going to do with this? I guess they're no longer checking into it. It must be a closed case, cold file.
According to them, it is still open.
No way. You mean they're still... What? And does that go with the other kids that are disappearing too? Are they all open as well?
If no body is found, technically they can still keep it open, which is why they have an excuse to not talk to us.
The brother that's working as a detective, is he in with the local police force or outside of the area?
Local. It's outside. Is it local?
Yeah.
I can't remember. Well, I thought it was New York City.
I don't know. Is he local or?
Well, they call Staten Island New York City.
Oh.
So from what he might have been, I don't know. I mean, the Bronx and that's.
Is he still active?
Oh yes.
Oh, he is.
From what I know, yes. From what I researched and found out, he's still active. Yeah.
Well, I would think, since he is.
He became a cop. He became a cop after she.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. That yeah, sure, and I'm sure he's been digging into it too. Excuse me, but I guess he hasn't come up with anything. No information, I guess, huh?
More information.
Well, and the thing is, it goes even deeper than this. Not just with Holly Ann, but the ties to Willowbrook itself that don't have anything to do with Andre Rand. I mean, there were when Willowbrook closed. Okay, when Willowbrook closed, the patients had to go somewhere.
Yeah.
They had to go somewhere. Some of them went to halfway houses, and I believe it was upstate New York, White Plains. I think there was one in White Plains, and it's three. I think it was either 2 or 3 of the patients that were there at that halfway house were in the process of suing Willowbrook for how they were treated there. Ironically, they died in a fire at the halfway house. Now, keep in mind, there was also, and I cannot remember his name, and I don't have it written down in front of me, but there was a retired New York City detective who wrote a book, and after all of this, and he actually wrote portions about Willowbrook because he had been called there many times. And at one point in time, when he was called there, he had actually found a room full of explosives, flammables, everything you could, torture devices, body parts in jars, everything creepy you could think of. All of that was on Willowbrook grounds.
I'll find out the name of the book. Something of a cop. Was it Soul of a Cop?
Soul of a Cop is what it was
I
called.
don't know if that was it. It was
It
something.
was.
Something
Oh,
to
my
do.
gosh.
I gotta look it up.
Yeah, I'm almost positive that's what it was. But yeah, so I mean, it's not when it's unfortunate, really, that when people think of Willowbrook, they automatically go to Andre Rand. When fact of the matter is,
it's
did
association.
he work there? Yes, he did, as an orderly or a janitor. One is sure.
He did everything.
Yeah, but there's not one reprimand that we could find against him while he was working there, not one complaint against him while he was working there, and it's ironic that he's automatically associated with it when it appears he just quit, didn't get fired, didn't do anything. Willowbrook on its own is terrifying. It's terrifying. Without the Andre Rands of the world, Willowbrook alone is horrific. And that's what people need to remember is that maybe people that were involved with Willowbrook might also be involved in these disappearances.
Yeah.
And he was known by them. His eccentricities were known by them. His past was known by them. Just saying.
That's how scapegoats are made.
So, what are your plans now? Do you think
we would
this?
love to go back.
You think it'll ever get solved?
We think it is, as far as where she is.
Yeah.
But whether we will ever
get anyone to take it seriously.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I wanted to ask you. And I had that clip, and I'm sorry I wanted to show that clip where when you were doing the K2, there was also a spot, and I think you asked Holly, is this where you are? And it's in that vicinity, right, where you were doing the K2? Right. So
she led us there.
She led you there?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, there was another thing, too. When I asked you about this, that Julia sent me this picture of a marking that says Victoria and Joseph D'Amalia. Can you tell us about that?
That was actually funny. We learned something really interesting in this process. Is that, I mean, we all have our little abilities, and we all know that I talk to the dead folk. What I never knew, and what is so fascinating now, is to learn that dead folk talk to each other. And then they help us. And I never knew that.
I never did either.
Yeah, it's really stinking cool. And one in particular that Julia has had a relationship with for many moons was guiding us to this particular location, where she basically, through that, introduced us to Joseph, who in turn guided us to additional places we needed to go, just to kind of show us the map, the thread of where we needed to look.
Yeah.
Now, did he steer you as to where her location was?
Kind of solidified it. It was more towards Jennifer. I believe more towards Jennifer. Because remember, Julia, we were there before we went to Jersey.
All right, so tell me about this Joseph guiding you to where Jennifer was buried.
Jennifer,
Where she was buried. Just kind of, because we hadn't even decided at that point that we were truly going to go all the way out there.
yeah, because where Jennifer's grave was like 40 minutes from Staten Island in New Jersey.
Yeah. And it's not a 40 short minutes, it's a 40 long minutes.
Yeah, maybe longer.
Yeah, and he kind of led us, it was weird, it was like a domino effect. He kind of led us to the outside of Fresh Kills, where we're walking around and we start talking and we start thinking about things, and that is when we decided to go to Jersey and spend about 3 hours there.
4 hours.
In cemetery. Yeah. Before coming back to Fresh Kills the next day in the daylight. And it was just kind of a weird domino effect. It's, you just ask them, are we on the right track? Where do we need to go now? Is this where we need to go? Give me an answer. Are you okay? Are they okay? And it just, every little bit of information that you can get in that fashion opens you up a little bit wider, and your perception gets a little bit bigger, and your sight and your hearing get a little more clearer. And that's kind of what that did for us, I think.
Yeah, I would agree.
And and you found, I guess you said
Jennifer Schweiger, we found,
Rachel found her. Rachel found her, bless her. Rachel found her.
Well, what happened is Jennifer Schweiger had Down syndrome.
Yes.
So she had the mentality, of a young child. She was playing with us the whole time in the cemetery. So we're trying to find where she is so we can talk to her on her grave, and she's just taking us on a goose chase, like hide and seek. She's throwing stones at us.
Oh, yeah.
I will never forget that. It was so quiet, and there's just little pebbles being thrown at us.
Oh, wow.
Vanessa's like, that's her throwing stones. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's throwing stones at us.
Did you, okay, so when you found her, when she was playing with you, did you ask her any personal questions? Like
Rachel, actually, it was really hard finding her. I have to throw this in here. We did not know that she was in a mausoleum until Rachel Googled her, because we were in there for hours looking for her. And like I said, she's playing with us, not showing us where she is. And Rachel Googled her and found out, how did she find out? She found out it was in a mausoleum.
She did.
And then, mind you, there was like hundreds of mausoleums. So we had to go through all of them until Vanessa was guided to where she was.
Wow. Did you ask her about what happened to her?
We asked her specifically if Andre did it, and she said no.
No way. Because, oh, really? Because did you ask her how she died?
I don't think we asked her that.
I don't think we asked her that, because her process would have been different.
Well, they found her body with no clothes on in the grave. When they found her,
no cause of death. They could not determine cause of death.
Now, wait a minute. If they found her body and it had no clothes on. And how? Okay, so how don't there had to have been still a body there? Do you think that they didn't want to release how she was killed?
To my knowledge, no. I mean, it's kind of important. You know?
But I mean, they don't always release everything, and sometimes the police department does that on purpose, in case a killer comes along or something, and they'll tell them something that nobody else knows.
True, but that's generally with a small detail, not how. There was no. I mean, they could put asphyxiation, but you won't know how. They could put rape by instrumentation, but you won't know with what.
Well, I can guarantee you if she had died at this particular time period, they would have found out. They would have known. Maybe that department, back in the 80s, things, I guess, were different. But that's kind of strange that they couldn't tell how she died.
Yeah.
Anyone can research that, too. There's nowhere, it doesn't say anywhere how she died at all. Just that her body was found.
Couldn't there have been an autopsy?
It was an autopsy.
It was an autopsy, and they could not determine her death?
Couldn't determine cause of death or whether or not she was sexually assaulted. That's according to the news reports that I was able to find. And I think Julia saw the same ones, and so did Rachel. So
when you were talking to Jennifer, I guess you didn't ask her, you said. You didn't ask her how she died.
No, I mean, I'm many things, but I'm not going to ask a kid how they...
Who has Down syndrome.
Who has Down syndrome, who is... All she wanted to do was play.
Yeah, it was so cute. It was cute. We were tired. It was like 3 in the morning.
Cranky. And
cranky and tired. It was hours to find her, but she was very cute and playful, like a 2-year-old would be.
It was our flashlights. This was the strangest thing, and I've asked other investigators if they've ever seen this. But on the infrared cameras, our flashlights, the glow of the flashlights was showing up as hearts.
Oh,
I've never in a million years seen that.
Oh, how
And it didn't matter whether it was on a flat surface, on a tree, on the grass, on an angle. It was a heart.
Oh, God.
And I've never seen that in my life. Haven't seen it again.
You know, if you go back, I would really like you to play detective. And and go, not be, how... the motherly instinct type, but really try and go the detective route and see what information you can get from her. I mean, it would be worth it to really... It
would be. I just don't want to hurt her.
Well, she's passed on now. I don't think they feel the same.
Mentally, she's still who she was.
Yeah. And I didn't understand that either, but when she passed, she stayed the same.
Yeah.
She didn't, that was her. That was still her.
Yeah. She was just a little girl playing.
Yeah.
It was, we saw more activity from her in a cemetery than we did from any other child in Port Richmond during the broad daylight.
Agreed, 100%.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it. That will stick with you.
And then what about Holly? You didn't ask Holly either? Then you didn't ask her any of those personal questions?
Oh, we tried.
Yeah.
They did. Okay, the person who we met with on South Beach, right there in Staten Island, we told him finally at the end, we told him where we knew she was. Okay? When we went there, it was the next day, wasn't it, Julia, when we went there the next day?
Yes.
Every single thing you could think of to interrupt us was going on.
No, I mean asking Holly when you were...
You couldn't hear.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's why we were using the K2 and not an EVP recorder, because perfectly mowed grass was being mowed again. Leaf blowers were being used when there's no leaves. It was ridiculous, and they were cloistering around us.
And that goes back to us being followed the entire time.
That's weird. They did not want you to know.
No.
Some people,
Well,
Yeah.
oh God.
They did not want us there. The next time we go, we are not telling anybody.
No.
Oh,
We're
God.
not telling anybody. We'll be there investigating, and they won't even know it.
I'm really anxious to see what more information you can get.
It won't be.
Cops following us the whole time too. Remember? They
Yeah.
were beeping at us for doing nothing, for just standing there and looking at the streets, beeping. Everywhere we went, every restaurant we came out of, every fast food place we came out of, there was a cop car.
Yeah.
And that's very
In
normal
the
for
parking lot
Staten.
of our hotel.
It's very normal for Staten Island to have cops in every corner, but I mean, it was a little bit much. Like,
Yeah.
they knew we were there, they knew what we were doing, and they were on us.
I was outside, over by a tree at the hotel, just doing a quick live feed, letting people kind of know what we had going on, which means it was live, which means anyone could watch it. And a cop in a SUV, one of the SUV cop cars or whatever it is, he drove right past me, going about 5 miles an hour, went to the back of the hotel, turned around, backed into a parking space, and stayed there until I finished.
Oh,
Yeah,
my.
they knew where we were. They've threatened radio show hosts.
Yeah.
We've had people call, shows that we were going to be on, threaten them.
So what is their problem? What's the deal? What is their problem with this?
I think they're getting their orders from somebody else.
Yeah. Well, they don't want us there. They don't want us doing what we're doing. That's for sure.
And we're not placing blame there on the local law enforcement, because
No.
odds are the majority of them were in diapers when this went down.
All of Staten, that's a very good point. Almost every cop in Staten Island, they're like 21 years old. I'm not even kidding. They look like babies. So they're taking orders from the big guys. Babies. Like, you would go and you'd be like, you look like you're in high school, and they're cops. They're very, very, very young looking.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
they're definitely taking orders from the big guys.
One of the viewers beat 3 airspace. Well, she had...
Hey,
Yeah, she had asked Royce. She said, Royce, Rand reportedly confessed Holly's murder to an inmate and compared himself to the serial killer Ted Bundy. And I did read that as well. Is this true? Or please ask Vanessa.
according to, again, the close family member that sought us out, according to him, specific people were placed in Rand's cell to get a confession, and nothing was ever gotten. There was no recorded evidence. There was no written evidence. There was nothing. So what that is and what was published, because I've seen that too, is tantamount to hearsay, and holds no more weight than the eyewitness reports supposedly seeing him.
All right, when you guys,
Because
when you
because
go back,
you don't know,
Yeah.
that person could have been just wanting to get in good with the prison warden. Who knows? Saying he came up with something. But according to this family member, the family member
yeah,
that was close with the prosecution at the time, says that there was never a confession. Ever. No matter how hard they tried.
All right, now you said that this Joseph D'Amalia communicates with you. Would you be willing to ask him when you go back if he could give you information on who might have... Oh,
Yeah.
please, I want to know. I really
He
want to
freaked me
know.
out. Let me tell them about that real quick, Julia. That was freaky, okay? Because that was, like I said, before I really understood how that worked with spirits communicating with each other. But Rachel and I walked into the cemetery up a pathway. It was the actual pathway up to the little chapel, and then we took a left and went over by this little stream. And that's when he just started coming to me and just talking. And he was walking me around. You can ask Julia. And he walked me up over this little, like one of those little rounded bridges you might put in your backyard for decoration. He walked me over that. And I come right, and he's talking to me, and I come back over it again, and he's talking some more. And he's just half the time shooting the shit, half the time, just telling me stuff. And he kept telling me the name, Joseph. And we're walking out. We're starving. I'm a Southern girl. I need food. We're walking out, and we leave a different way. And we're walking past, and I hear Rachel behind me go, "Oh, shit." And at this point, I can't take a whole lot more. I'm like, what is it now? What?
Mm-hmm. Very drained.
Very drained. And she goes, "Vanessa, look at this." And it's what you've got that picture of. Come to find out, that bridge that had me going over was either built by or dedicated to Joseph.
Yep.
It was you cut out. It was dedicated to who?
Joseph.
To Joseph. Why?
Yeah.
Don't know. Don't know. At that point, I was so drained, so tired. We all were, and needed food and needed it in a hurry.
Wow. Okay, well, you guys, I've been in love with this case for 10 years when I found out about it. Please, when you come back, please let me know what you got. Please see.
Absolutely. And Norene, if you don't mind, what we talked about before the show, can I bring that up?
Yes.
Okay. This is how I'm hoping to get back to Staten Island to work with Julia and Rachel. If anyone watches my show with Mike Ricksecker on Tuesday nights, not this past Tuesday, but the Tuesday before, I had Christopher Peters on my show. Christopher Peters is the son of John Peters and Leslie Ann Warren. Barbara Streisand was his stepmama. He's a Hollywood producer. At the end of our show, and you can go back and look at it, you can see this, I'm not making this up. He was asking what Mike and I's plans were, where we saw ourselves going. And I had been sitting on this idea for months, hoping I was going to be able to come up with the money to do it. But I went ahead and told him, I'm supposed to be filming a documentary in Ireland in July. Production crew was already there. Transportation's taken care of. Hotels taken care of. Food's taken care of. It's all sponsored already. I'm going to be interviewing with Gwen Clapper from BPI and Mike Phillips from PPI in Ireland, who is a dear friend of mine who is also an actor on Vikings and Game of Thrones. Handsome fella. Great guy. I've known him for years. And we're going to be working on cases, some new to me, some I have remote viewed for years ago for him. And it's about living with spirits and communicating with them and our connectivity, living and dead, and the injustices that have been done over there to children. And the cases are just astronomical. I've got so many, and I've got at least 30 interviews lined up. It's going to be big, and it's going to be something so much different than anything I've ever done before. And I am looking for sponsors because Christopher Peters told me that when I am done with this interview, with this documentary, he wants to see it, the finished product. And if he likes it, he's going to put me in touch with Channing Dungey, who runs Netflix.
Isn't that awesome?
That's big.
Yeah.
That's big. I have raised $750 in less than 4 days towards my $3,000 goal. If everybody on my Facebook page donated $2, plane tickets are set. They're done. I wouldn't need another dime. It's that simple. I'm not asking anybody to break the bank. Anyone that does sponsor, and it goes through Facebook Pay, Google Pay, or my PayPal, and it's all there on Facebook, but PayPal is all lowercase, VRHOGLE1972 Anyone who sponsors, whether it's $2, $20, or $200, gets listed in the special thanks to section of this documentary that has a very real chance of being on Netflix. And so, if I can do this and show my worth there, I might be able to travel the country and do these the same way and have them have a much higher platform like Netflix. That's essentially my goal, is to investigate with as many people as I possibly can on as many missing persons cases, hauntings, poltergeist, demonic activity, whatever you call it. That's my goal, is to do that not as my own thing, but with everybody else and kind of bring us all together. That's my goal.
And your Facebook is just Vanessa Hogle, right?
Vanessa Hogle, and then in parentheses it's Pollard, because that's my maiden name. It's all right there. I just need to get there. I literally have every single thing covered. Everything's covered. I just got to get there.
Awesome. So if everybody just even gives $2, that will help Vanessa.
Yeah. Tell your friends. And like I said, I don't care. If it's just $2, your name is going right up there with someone that gave $200. This is not a situation where I say, these are my gold star people, these are my silver star people, and these are my bronze stars. No, to me, you're all fucking rock stars. Oh. I just need your help.
Oh, that's awesome. And when do you think you're going to go back to Staten Island?
I would like to go, definitely not in the summertime. I would like to go, if I could come back, and maybe if I can do it in September, I would love to do that. I just got to see how this goes.
Okay. So let me know when you go, because I have a bunch of questions I want you to ask them.
Okay.
and you can just say, no, it's not from me. This is from Norene.
Exactly. I will do that.
Oh, awesome, guys! Don't forget this is Threefold Rachel.
You can find us on the Threefold Paranormal page, documentary. Everything is in there.
And Threefold Paranormal, and they are on YouTube, and you can find, there's a link to the documentary underneath this video that's posted on YouTube, and Royce did put it in the chat room as well. We had just see another question here, if you don't mind. Kathy Salento wants to know, is Holly's mother still alive?
Yes.
Oh, she is?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Nanny Tristan wants to know, do they think someone could be watching them now? Mining for
Yeah.
Yeah? Really?
Yeah. Yeah. It would, okay, I'm not going to say that we know for certain that's happening, but it would not surprise me one iota.
Wow.
But so far so good, we're still here.
Well, I'm really interested to find out what you get. Like I
We're
said.
probably on a hit list, but we're still here.
God, I hope not. You got to find out information. You got to find out.
Right?
Oh my goodness. You know what? I hope you can get more information the next time out. It would drive me crazy if you couldn't get any more information. Anyway, thanks so much for coming on the show. It was a pleasure. It's always fun. And good luck with you. I really hope you can get some more information the next time you go out there. Really, really try.
Thank you, love. Thanks for having us.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Love having you guys. Thank you. Have a great weekend, and good luck with your endeavors, and good luck with your documentary.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good night.
Good night.
Thanks. Good night.
Good night.
Okay, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight, and thanks so much. I'll be here until June. I'll be on this channel until June, until I can go back to my other channel. But thanks so much. Maybe you can spread the word that we're using this channel. It's hard, to get the word out. It's not as big as my other channel. We would have had 500 people tonight, but that's okay. It's try and get the word out so we can get some more people to watch the show. Let's see. Next show is March 21st with Dave Spinks. He's written a book on West Virginia ghosts and urban legends. So Dave's going to come back for that on the 31st. Okay? Everybody, thanks so much for being here. Let's do a fast shout out and then and have a great weekend. But let's do some fast shout outs. Oh, also to my mods, Royce Hinman. Thanks, Royce, and to Cassandra50. Thanks so much. Without them, you wouldn't have a great chat room. It's because of them we have a great chat room. And thanks so much to them. And Royce, don't forget to give your positive thoughts and prayers to Royce as well. Okay? So let's do a fast shout out. Kathy Salento, Nanny Tristan, Cassandra50, Mama Joe Buffalo, Chipateri, Mama Joe, Fun Ducker, Nebet Seta. Anybody else want to shout out? Yeah, Dave will be back. Let's see. Yeah, we had a small crowd tonight, but that's okay. I won't be here that long. Jane Edwards. I'm not sure if Carl White and Graham Crosby will find us. Anyway, Brian Wayne. Anyway, that's okay. Whoever shows up is fine. We'll be here till June, like I said, and we'll continue to do the shows. I'm not going to stop, but I'll be happy to be back on my main channel. Everybody have a great weekend, and if you guys would, it's a cozy crowd. I don't know if Carl's here. Oh, you are. Oh, Carl, you surprised me. You found me. Anyway, thanks everybody. And thanks to our guests, Julia Siracusa, Vanessa Hogle, and Rachel couldn't get on, but she's part of that paranormal team. Anyway, thanks so much. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you on the 21st, okay? So I love you guys, and again, thanks so much for coming over here. Maybe you can get the word out next week on the 21st, okay? Bring some more people over. I'd appreciate it. Love you guys as always, and I always appreciate it. Thank you. Love you. Good night. Thanks.